Terrorism and the Non-Proliferation of Weapons of Mass Destruction (WMD) feature prominently amongst the security concerns shared by EU and India, discussed with the assistance of scholarship. तो भाई देखो, यहाँ पर सबसे पहले जो स्कॉलरशिप है बेटा, वो है एक स्कॉलर की जिनका नाम है क्रिश्चियन वैगनर। क्रिश्चियन वैगनर, WAGNER, वैगनर। अच्छा, अभी क्रिश्चियन वैगनर ने क्या बोला है सर? तो क्रिश्चियन वैगनर सेज दैट व्हेन इट कम्स टू यूरोप एंड इंडिया, they have a very mixed record on how to look at the issues related to nuclear non-proliferation and terrorism. Now, Christian Wagner says that number one, when we look at the concept of terrorism, EU has absolutely complete clarity on the fact that terrorism in any form will not be tolerated. And when they say that terrorism in any form will not be tolerated, then one thing is very clear, that EU has been very vocal to condemn. See, this is what Christian Wagner says very importantly, beta, कि EU has been very vocal to condemn the state sponsorship of terrorism of Pakistan against India. So if Pakistan has been resorting to state sponsorship of terrorism, then one thing is very clear, that this state sponsorship of terrorism has been vocally, deeply criticized by EU with respect to Pakistan. So here, stand of EU is very clear that we will not accept or tolerate terrorism. But where does the problem arise? Christian Wagner says that the problem arises when, in order to counter the state sponsorship of terrorism by Pakistan, when India does counter-terrorism operations, in order to tackle the state sponsorship of terrorism, when Pakistan unleashes that, when India undertakes counter-terrorism operations, at that juncture, what happens is that EU has been found to criticize India for gross human right violation. EU says कि भाई, your attempt to counter terrorism by using force tantamounts to gross human right violation. India says कि भाई, this does not make sense. At one juncture, you are saying कि भाई, we condemn the terrorism of Pakistan. And at the other place, you are saying कि भाई, even though we condemn that terrorism, the problem is that you and your counter terrorism is not something we are appreciative of. So there is a problem and issue here, which is unresolved till today. Second thing he says is that Christian Wagner says that when we look at the issues of non-proliferation, Christian Wagner says कि sir, one thing is very certain, that when it comes to EU has categorically stated that China is a nuclear proliferator. Proliferator means that it has spread and shared technologies which is legally not permissible to do so. So EU has a very clear perception that China is a global nuclear proliferator. It has proliferated technologies to North Korea, Pakistan, other rogue countries. So in that sense, today EU believes that China should not be brought into architectures that can endanger nuclear security. One architecture that can basically endanger nuclear security is something called MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. अच्छा सर, now please understand one thing बच्चे, कि when it comes to Missile Technology Control Regime, MTCR, it is a international regime that regulates that what kind of missiles can be manufactured and supplied by one country to the other. So it regulates global missile trade, MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. So it regulates global missile exports, global missile trade. Now the problem is, decision making into MTCR or to join MTCR is based on consensus. Existing members of MTCR must have a consensus that this country should be allowed or not allowed to participate into the MTCR. Third thing is कि बेटा, India is a member of MTCR. We are officially a member of MTCR. However, today China is not a member of MTCR. China, in fact, is one of the only countries in the world which has a nuclear weapon and yet it is not a signatory to the MTCR. Not that ki China does not want to sign it. China wants to join MTCR. But the problem is MTCR members don't want China to be there. They want to penalize China by keeping it out. You know why? Because China, EU says, is a global proliferator of missiles. China has given missiles to rogue countries which they have used against other states. They have given missiles to Pakistan. Chinese missile technologies have been used by Pakistan in war against India. This is not permissible under MTCR. Chinese have deliberately tried to bypass global rules to favor Pakistan. But now the issue is that because China today is in such a position कि China today wants to be a member of MTCR because by being a member of MTCR, China can supply weapons officially to other states like EU. And in the absence of that membership, China is unable to sell their weapons to EU, specifically missiles. And EU says we don't want Chinese missiles also. We don't want you here. So please understand. China wants to be member of MTCR. EU says we will not let you be in MTCR because you are a country who has bypassed every rule of MTCR to help somebody like Pakistan who has misused that missile technology. As a result of which, the penalty for you is that you will stay out of MTCR. So one thing is very clear. EU does not want China in the MTCR because EU knows that if China comes into MTCR, what will happen is China will start sharing and selling their missiles to Europe. Acha sir, the other thing is US also does not want China in the MTCR. US does not want China in the MTCR because if USA sees China coming inside MTCR as a member, USA will stop having access to the European markets. Because if China is not able to sell their missiles today to Europe, that space is captured by the Americans. Americans are selling their missiles to Europe. So even America does not want China to be in MTCR. India, for that matter, also does not want China in the MTCR. Not that India has any missile to sell to Europe today. India says कि भाई my candidature to you cannot be supported on the moral ground that you have helped a country like Pakistan, which has been my enemy, by giving them missiles that they have used against us. So you deserve to be out of this global treaty. So here there is a complete convergence between India, US, and EU to keep China out of MTCR. That is a different fact that today China tries to take a revenge of this by keeping India out of the nuclear suppliers group NSG. चाइना कहता है ठीक है तुम मुझे MTCR का मेंबर मत बनाओ, मैं तुम्हारे को NSG का मेंबर नहीं बनने दूंगा. तो पॉइंट ये है कि सर उसमें परेशान हम भी हो रहे हैं NSG के मेंबर ऑफिशियली ना होने के कारण. और अब यहाँ पर देखो ना चीज क्या है सर. अब यहाँ पर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि ये तो एक इशू हो गया MTCR का. Christian Wagner says that between Europe and India there is another issue, sir. The other issue is that Europe says that we appreciate that India has a nuclear program, civilian, military, both. We appreciate, but we don't want to help. Europe says the reason why we don't want to help India's nuclear program is because India is not a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the CTBT. EU says कि भाई India must sign NPT CTBT. Sir, we have not signed the NPT CTBT for a very simple reason because we find the treaty discriminatory. EU says whether you find it discriminatory or not, if there is a global regime, you have to be a part of it. So problem that happens here is that EU's advanced nuclear technologies, number one, do not reach out to India as a whole, as a EU. EU as a whole, as a institution does not sell nuclear technologies to India. Individual EU members do that. Today, France is one of the pioneer countries which is a member of EU and also has a deep nuclear relationship with India. France कहता तुम जाओ बाहर में. हम तो बेचेंगे, हमसे और कोई खरीद नहीं रहा, हम क्या करें, इसी को तो बेचना है हमें। तो फ्रांस का रवैया अलग है सर, वो कहता है कि सर आग लगे बस्ती में, हम अपनी मस्ती में, हम तो बेचेंगे, जो करना कर लो आप। रशिया हमारे को दे ही रहा है, अमेरिका से भी न्यूक्लियर टेक्नोलॉजी आ ही रही है। तो ईयू पर से अगर अड़चन बना के बैठा है तो सर ये उनका अड़ियलपन है, हमें कुछ नहीं लेना देना। तो सर देर आर कन्वर्जेंसेस, डाइवर्जेंसेस, एंड दैट इज वाई क्रिश्चियन वैगनर, आई रिपीट द फर्स्ट लाइन दैट आई सेड, दैट दे हैव अ वेरी मिक्स्ड रिकॉर्ड फॉर दिस इशू। अब आते हैं अगले क्वेश्चन पे कि सर हिस्टोरिक साइनिंग ऑफ द इंडिया यूरोप एफटीए ईएफटीए ट्रेड डील स्ट्रेंथन इंडियाज प्लान्स टू डाइवर्सिफाई इट्स ट्रेड पार्टनर्स वर्ल्ड वाइड एंड इनहांस इट्स एक्सपोर्ट कैपेबिलिटीज फॉरेन इन्वेस्टमेंट सप्लाई चेन इंटीग्रिटी, examined with help of scholarship. So this happened in the month of August only, sir, this year. So when we started our course, that was the time when this particular deal happened also. So I have incorporated it. The scholar here is Sir Arya Bardhan, Arya Bardhan, Bardhan. So Arya Bardhan says that why this deal eventually got signed despite the fact that India Europe FTA deal had been pending for such a long time is because of COVID. So Aryabardhan says that what happened during the time of COVID is that China basically during COVID was trying to weaponize the global supply chains. And Chinese attempts to weaponize the global supply chains led to a lot of disruptions in Europe. So these disruptions that happened during the COVID time period because of China weaponizing supply chains compelled many European countries to look for alternatives. And when European countries decided to look for alternatives, one alternative came in the form of India. India's geographical location, which was proximate to China, also led to many businesses which were Western businesses to relocate from China to India. Coming of businesses from China to India also basically changed the perception of the European countries about the future potential of India. And when these businesses left China, when they came to India, not only Europe developed a positive perception towards India, but then Europe also decided to take advantage and therefore decided to resolve the pending issues and conclude the FTA. Now the issue is, ki, sir, what were the pending issues? One of the first pending issue that Europe always faced with India was, as Aryabardhan says, is bureaucratic red tape. Europe always complained about a lack of ease of doing business with India. They always said कि भाई there is bureaucratism, red tapeism, lack of doing ease of doing business with India. So in order to mitigate this concern, India began to experiment with lateral entry in the civil service. India brought about professionals from trade domains in the civil service. Second thing is that India, apart from the lateral entry, also tried to gradually improvise their ease of doing business ranking. Gradual improvement of India in the ease of doing business ranking also instilled confidence in the Europeans. And this confidence that finally came in the Europeans created a scenario where one thing became very clear. That issues that were raised by the Europeans were gradually seen being resolved by India. And these issues being resolved by India, number one, led to the conclusion of the deal. Now, issue is कि sir, once the deal was concluded, what are the areas where India can benefit today? So first area where India can benefit today is sir food processing technologies. Sir, Europeans are pioneers in food processing. So that technology will gradually flow. Second is कि sir, India told Europe that we want to take advantage of skill development in Europe. So Europe has decided as a whole, as an entity, to allow Indian students to go to Europe for skill education. So Indian students going to Europe for skill education is another positive factor. Third point is that there is a huge scope of trade that they have decided to open up in agro produce commodities. So agro produce commodities means those agrarian commodities that have a mutual market in each other's territory. Mutual market. And fourth and the last is basically the infrastructure. So India today stands to gain from what is called as advanced infrastructure available in Europe. And that European infrastructure will now gradually flow into India. ठीक है जी। अब आते हैं जी इस क्वेश्चन पे कि सर हाउ कैन दी इम्पैक्ट ऑफ ब्रेग्जिट ऑन इंडिया यूरोप रिलेशनशिप बी डिस्क्राइब्ड given that the UK had a special relationship with India because of their shared history. Explain with help of scholars. तो ब्रेग्जिट तो सर बड़ा पुराना हो गया, एक डेकेड हो गया। इस इशू पे क्वेश्चन आने की संभावना अब नहीं है, पर फिर भी आप दो लाइनें यहाँ पर लिख सकते हो। अकॉर्डिंग टू प्रमित पाल चौधरी, प्रमित PRAMIT, प्रमित पाल PAL, according to Pramit Pal Chaudhary, Indians always saw UK as a gateway to EU. In this context, Indian students who studied in UK decided to explore employment opportunities into EU, while Indian businesses used UK as a launchpad. For business inside EU. However, India's perception of Brexit was that it is a domestic issue of UK, and India remains committed to establishing diverse relationship with UK. As per Sudha Pillai, Sudha Pillai, British always had a pro-Pakistan policy which somehow remained under check till Britain was a part of EU. But with the Brexit, The British will continue to nurture this fault line. Nurture this fault line. In the recent times, with Britain joining hands with America in the AUKUS alliance, the British continues to gain an edge in the Indian Ocean region. Without India and Britain having any cooperation at the Indo-Pacific level. Without India and Britain having any cooperation at the Indo-Pacific level. Thus, Pakistan and Indian Ocean region are likely to remain potential irritants. क्लियर हो गया जी? यूके समझ आ गया? यहाँ तक तो कोई डाउट नहीं है। आगे बढ़े जी, अब यूएस पे आते हैं बेटा। तो पहला क्वेश्चन है कि सर, इंडिया एंड यूएस रिलेशनशिप इज बेस्ड ऑन म्यूचुअल इंटरेस्ट एंड यूएस सीज इंडिया टुडे एज अ पार्टनर। Explain using scholarship that how India's conformist and not revisionist attitude is a driver of this relationship. Sir, the scholar here is Jeffrey Sachs. Sachs. Very, very influential person in US. Jeffrey Sachs. He says that India's relationship with US over a period of time has evolved. It has evolved to this extent that today, number one, USA looks at India not through the prism of Pakistan anymore, but through the prism of China. So he says that the very first point itself is an explanation that how in America's perception of India has changed over a period of time. So America today does not look at India through the lens of what is known as beta, basically Pakistan lens. It looks at it through the China lens. This means that today it is an advancement of overall India's perception in the US psyche. This is explained by the fact that Jeffrey Sachs says कि Chinese attitude is number one global revisionist attitude. In the earlier classes, I have already explained you what revisionism means. So he says that because the Chinese attitude is global revisionist attitude, this is where India differs from China. Because India's attitude is number one, not of revisionism. In fact, Indian foreign policy stands for creating its own path. But this is where Jeffrey Sachs says that when India tries to look at its own path, the problem that happens here is that America tends to confuse India's own path with conformism. Because see, America today looks at the world in a very binary sense. Binary sense means that you are either with us or you are not with us. He says this is the problem in the American psyche. They look at the world in a binary sense. They never try to look at the world in an effective manner that there can be different shades of gray. India today prefers to be one of the different shades of gray. Because India today is one of the countries that prefers to say that we will create our own path. So not everything that is going to be dictated by America is going to be followed by India. So Jeffrey Sachs says that today, even when America has elevated the status of India, does not look at India through the lens of Pakistan, but looks at India today through the lens of China, looks at India today as a potential future partner. But this entire thing gets disturbed whenever India says कि we basically have our own foreign policy, right? America says कि see, when we are with you as a partner, when we are with you trying to enhance your capability, you have to have an outlook that syncs with us. Your outlook cannot be something that is different from us. Jeffrey Sachs says that this is the principal issue of divergence between India and US. USA wants that we are with India. We want to help India. We want to work with India. For us, India is a country that we look at as an alternate to China. Is an indicator of the fact that how we look at them as a potential partner. But every problem arises when India today says that I have my independent own path. Jeffrey Sachs says that the problem that gets aggravated here is that when India says that I have the right to have my own path, India not only differs from the path of US, India adopts a path which is not adopted by US. For example, engaging with Russia. Jeffrey Sachs says that America perceives any engagement with Russia as a complete red flag. But for India, it is a complete green flag. So he says that we are in such a situation with India today that whether we like it or not, we cannot neglect them. Because he says that India, being the largest democracy on earth, has put the Americans in such an uncomfortable situation that even if Americans today will try to debunk India, he uses a word called debunk, Debunk, debunk. Debunk means if they try to leave India aside, it will rather weaken America's global foreign policy than strengthening it. Because you cannot say कि the biggest democracy in the earth, which is the Indians, we are not going to have an engagement with them just because they have an independent foreign policy. So we have to engage with them. We have to accept that we cannot neglect them, even though we may not like them. तो अमेरिका इंडिया का रिलेशनशिप कुछ इस प्रकार का है सर कि घर में एक लड़की रहती है, लड़की को पापा बिल्कुल नहीं पसंद है, पर रहना पापा के साथ है, क्योंकि जब तक शादी नहीं होती पति नहीं आता, और अनलेस की पति भी पापा का रेप्लिका ना निकला है क्योंकि पापा ने ही चुन के लाना है, तो अगर वो आइटम घर पे वैसा है तो हमें उस आइटम के साथ रहना है, हम कुछ कर नहीं सकते। हम ये भी नहीं कह सकते बाहर जाके लोगों को ये मेरा बाप नहीं है, उससे बेइज्जती अपनी भी होगी कि फिर तुम्हारा बाप कौन है। तो वो करने के बजाय ये है कि भाई इसको बाप बोल भी दो लेकिन दिल से बाप को भी नहीं मानना। तो बड़ी गंभीर सी परिस्थिति है, कोल्ड वॉर चल रहा है। घर पे पापा हैं, उनकी प्रेजेंस एक्सेप्ट भी कर रहे हैं लेकिन एक्सेप्ट नहीं भी कर रहे हैं। तो ये चीज को समझो सर, यहाँ पर ये बोलना चाह रहा है ये। अब आप नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन को देखो। Although the two countries were never in a direct confrontation, but their world vision, approach for the future world was totally different. Cold War phase has been considered to be a phase of back and forth diplomacy, examining using illustrations and scholarship. So here, the scholar is a person by the name called Ashley Tellis. Ashley, Ashley Tellis, Tellis. Ashley Tellis says कि भाई throughout the period of Cold War, both India and US had very different visions of the world. Because of these different visions, their relationship was back and forth, means sometimes engaging, sometimes not engaging, sometimes in fact even opposing. To illustrate, he says, let's look at the UN, United Nations. Ashley Tilly says कि number one in the United Nations, America always wanted that UN is US and US is UN. America always wanted this. कि United Nation is our creation. So we are UN, US is UN and UN is US. Both way. India never accepted it. India, in fact, in the United Nations, Ashley Tellis says, came out with a concept called G77. 77 भूखे नंगे खड़े कर दिए हमने लाके, और उन सबके आगे खड़े हो गए हम, सारे भूखे नंगों का सबसे नंगा लीडर इंडिया। अब परिस्थिति क्या हुई सर? यही हुई कि व्हेन यूएस इज सेइंग कि वी आर यूएन एंड यूएन इज यूएस, इंडिया सेज नो सर, यूएन इज एन इंडिपेंडेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, G77 हैज अ पावर play to do in the UN. It became a friction point. Similarly, second point he talks about is, sir, Pakistan. He says America wanted during the Cold War to use Pakistan to counter Soviet Union. India, on the other hand, invited Soviet Union to India, bringing it directly at the doorstep of Pakistan. Both had very different perspectives. India never felt shy to engage with the Soviet Union as far as it considered breaking down Pakistan in any way. So while India was not interested in confronting US via Pakistan, India was definitely interested in confronting Pakistan for bringing Cold War to its doorsteps. इंडिया का रवैया ये होता था, तू मेरे बगल में कोल्ड वॉर लेके आया, तू यूएस का एलाई बना, तो मैं सोवियत को लेके आऊंगा। यूएस कह रहा है कि यार सोवियत यहाँ आएगा, उसके मेरे बीच की बात बनेगी। हमने कहा तू अपने काम से काम रख, ये पहले यहाँ पर कैसे कोल्ड वॉर लेके आया, मैं इसको इसकी औकात बताऊंगा। यूएस कहता था यार मतलब वो मेरे से लड़ेगा आके सोवियत, उसको पाकिस्तान से क्या लेना देना। हम कहते थे नहीं, सोवियत हमारे साथ सिर्फ पाकिस्तान को पेलने के लिए खड़ा है। परसेप्चुअल डिफरेंसेस हैं, कोऑपरेट कर भी नहीं सक रहे और कोऑपरेट करना भी चाह रहे हैं तो कुछ नहीं होगा। एंड थर्ड लास्ट एग्जांपल ही सेज इज ऑफ बेसिकली इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट. Sir, he says that when India wanted to do economic development, India said we will reap all benefits from US and Soviet Union both because we are non-aligned. America perceived this non-alignment as nothing but alignment with Soviet Union. अमेरिका said कि ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है कि you will engage with US and you will engage with Soviet Union. हमने काम करके दिखाएंगे. We used to ask something from US. US would say कि no, I will not give you. We will say okay, we will go and take it from Soviet. Then US will say no, no, you don't go there. I will only give you. Then we will ask something from Soviet. अब समझ रहे हो सर, हमारा रवैया होता था घर में वो शरारती बच्चा कि जिसको अगर मम्मी ने कुछ मना कर दिया तो वो पापा के पास गया, पापा ने कुछ मना कर दिया तो उसको ये पता है कि दादा मेरे कब्जे में है, दादा की जो है पजामे की नहीं, मैं जो उसके पूरा का पूरा नाड़ा खींच दूंगा नहीं तो ये शरारती बच्चे वाला व्यवहार है कि हमें अपने मन की करनी। बच्चे ने बोल दिया मुझे 300 रुपए के पटाखे चाहिए दिवाली पे, तो 300 के ही आएंगे सर। मम्मी ने कहा कि 150 का आएंगे, तो भाई साहब मम्मी की चुन्नी पे आग लगा दी। ये रवैया हमारा। तो इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में सर हमने अमेरिका को बहुत कॉन्फ्रंट किया कि तेरी नहीं चलेगी, चली हमारी भी नहीं, लेकिन तेरी नहीं चलेगी। अब अगला क्वेश्चन देखो आप सर, इंडो यूएस रिलेशंस हैव मेड सिग्निफिकेंट स्ट्राइड्स, स्ट्राइड मींस इंप्रूवमेंट, in the post-Cold War era, leaving the infamous tag of estranged democracies behind. Explain this thesis using scholarships. Estranged democracy का मतलब ये होता है कि सर ये जो अभी 3 पॉइंट मैंने आपको बताया ऊपर, एशले टेलिस वाले, कि पोस्ट कोल्ड वॉर पीरियड में ये तीनों हम मसले अब चेंज हो गए. स्कॉलर हियर इज जसजीत सिंह. जसजीत सिंह, very very influential person, sir. Jasjeet Singh was a former Air Chief Marshal of India and an expert on Indo-US relationship also. Many books he has written. Jasjeet Singh. He says कि sir, over the period of post-Cold War times, India and US have decided to explore those areas where commonality exists. Unlike in the Cold War period where they tried to counter each other. So Jasjeet Singh says कि भाई, for example, one thing is very clear that India realized that US is basically a democracy, India is also a democracy. So both the parties decided to use democracy as a common connecting value. Now this is one place where there was no estrangement. This is one place where there was no kind of irritation between the two parties, and both were willing to cooperate with each other. Second place he says is basically in the post Cold War period, India and US have decided to explore relationship in the dimension of defense. He says कि भाई, defense had been one of the dimensions during the Cold War where America was very uncomfortable as India was buying lot of defense products from USSR. So India very comfortably in the post Cold War period told US that fine, Cold War is over. If Soviet is not going to give us, you provide us with the weaponry. And for America, which was a capitalist country, selling products of defense to India was a very comfortable idea. So they found it comforting to engage on this dimension where there was no estrangement. Estrangement means again no conflict. So डेमोक्रेसी में कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है, डिफेंस में कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं है. और तीसरा पॉइंट इन्होंने बोला, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली, द पॉइंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट. So he says that since the end of the Cold War, because India has adopted what is called as an open economy, India today prefers engagement with America and American companies at the level of open economy. So any attempt by India to invite American business into India is seen as a positive factor by America. And in contrast, there is no what is called as Russian business as an alternative. So either it is an American business or an business of an American ally only. So what Jasjeet Singh has said is a very crucial thing, sir. He says that today India, US have tried to explore those dimensions where they both are very comfortable knowing that these are not areas which are conflicting today. Now you see the next question, sir. Indo-US relationship have not only developed an element of security and defense, but the relationship has developed strategic layers as well. Explain using scholar, sir. Scholar here is Yogesh Joshi. Yogesh Joshi says that today there has been a new nomenclature in our international relations. Yogesh Joshi says that earlier relationship between two countries at the defense level was also known as relationship at the security level. However, over a period of time, new dimensions have been added in the defense and security, thereby number one making the relationship at the strategic level. So what was earlier defense is also similar to what was earlier called security, but now with new dimensions, defense plus security is often called as strategic. Second thing he says is that when we used to say earlier defense and security, it was primarily buying, selling of weapons or defense armament. And earlier, if defense and security primarily meant buying and selling of weapons, then over a period of time, certain new elements have been added which are not related to buying, selling of weapons. And these elements today are called strategic. They include number one, intelligence sharing. Number two, defense training. And number three, intelligence related training. So he says that today India, US are not only having a buyer-seller relationship of defense, but today they have what is called as a strategic relationship where number one, they have intelligence sharing with each other. They have intelligence training with each other. where intelligence officials are jointly trained and they have defense training with each other. And what Yogesh Joshi says eventually is that what happens because of this strategic element of the relationship is that both the countries are able to explore, both the countries are able to explore common visions for future, common visions. By for example, today there is a common vision that Indian Ocean has to be protected from any aggressive behavior by China. By any aggressive behavior by China. So one thing is very clear. कि भाई when you are at the strategic level ना sir, you develop what Yogesh Joshi says, common thinking at the global issue level. Common thinking at the global issue level. चीज क्लियर हुई जी? अब आते हैं जी, यूजिंग स्कॉलरशिप सर इलस्ट्रेट हाउ यूएस हैज असिस्टेड इंडिया इन इट्स एंट्री इनटू द एक्सपोर्ट कंट्रोल regimes and how the same adds another layer of strategic cooperation. So here you can write down two lines, beta. According to Kanti Bajpai, America has played an important role in bringing India into the global nuclear architecture by giving India a nuclear deal. This was followed by a NSG specific waiver for India. NSG specific waiver for India. This enabled India to explore global nuclear commerce, which got facilitated because India was subsequently brought into the Australian group. Wassenaar arrangement. Wassenaar. Wassenaar. Wassenaar arrangement. With India now having its domestic civilian nuclear liability law, India is now globally integrated at the level of nuclear commerce. ठीक है जी? अब आते हैं बेटा इस क्वेश्चन पे कि इन रीसेंट ईयर्स इंडिया यूएस स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप हैज इवॉल्व्ड एक्सपेंडिंग इन स्कोप फ्रॉम द बायलैटरल टू मल्टीलैटरल एंड embracing a wider range of issues. So now you are able to understand, sir, how strategic began, then how nuclear came under the strategic, and now from nuclear strategic we are seeing from bilateral to multilateral issues. So scholar here is Bruce Riddle. Bruce Bruce Riddle Riedel. Very very influential person again on Indo-US relationship. Very big authority. So he says that today the first area where multilaterally we see India US converging with each other is basically at the level of G20. So he says G20 is one area where America is very comfortable to have India. Second multilateral institution he says is G7, where India is often invited. Where India is often invited. Third he says is basically certain exercises which are of naval and military nature. For example, Milan exercise. Milan, MILAN, capital में है सारा. Milan is basically a short form for military and navy. तो ये जो मिलन एक्सरसाइज फॉर्मेट है सर, दिस मिलन मिलिट्री एंड नेवी फॉर्मेट इज अ वेरी क्रूशियल फॉर्मेट वेयर टुडे अमेरिका ब्रिंग्स इंडिया ऑन द सिमिलर प्लेटफॉर्म. फोर्थ ही सेज इज that at the Indo-Pacific level, America has started visualizing a deeper participation of India in the Indo-Pacific. अब यहाँ से उठता है अगला क्वेश्चन. एक्सप्लेन यूजिंग स्कॉलरशिप हाउ चाइना इज अ ड्राइवर ऑफ इंडो-यूएस रिलेशनशिप. So here the scholarship is of a lady named Tanvi Madan. Tanvi Madan. TANVI, Tanvi Madan, MADAN. Again, a very recent influential scholar who has done tremendous research on Indo-US relations. So Tanvi Madan says कि भाई China has always been a factor in India-US. She traces the relationship of China factor back to what is called as 1962 Indo-China conflict. She says that when in 1962 India-China conflict happened, even at that time America was one of the first countries to help India by telling India that if China wants to undertake aggression, we will give you support at the military level. और ये बात भी सच है. चाइना आ गया, अपन को चपेट पेड़ मारने लग गया 1962 में. हम डर गए, एकदम टेंशन होगी हमें हमें समझ नहीं आ रहा था करना क्या. अमेरिका से मदद मांगी, उसने कहा मैं भेज देता हूँ. जितनी देर में अमेरिका के जहाज उड़ने लगे, चाइना ने कहा कि नहीं मैं जा रहा हूँ. तो अमेरिका कहता है ये मेरे मेरे कहने पे गया है, ये अगर तू मेरे को ना बुलाता ना भाई, भाई को फ़ोन ना करता, तो ये तेरे को मुंह तोड़ देता, तेरा दांत वांत निकाल देता बाहर तुम्हारे. तो ये चीज़ उसने सबसे पहले बोली. सेकंड पॉइंट इज कि सर इवन इन 1970 decade after the creation of Bangladesh, China was one of the very influential factors in Indo-American policy because China at that time in the 1970 decade was actively supporting what is called as Northeast insurgency. And India time and again used to at that time complain to US that you have started improving your ties with China, so why don't you tell China to not sponsor insurgency? But Tanvi Madan says that it is only many years later that India got to know that a Northeast insurgency was supported with American assistance by the Chinese as a front. जो बात फैक्ट भी है कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंसर्जेंसी वॉज नॉट डन बाय चाइना अलोन सर, इट वॉज डन बाय चाइना ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ अमेरिका ओनली. Because 1971 creation of Bangladesh, Northeast insurgency emerged as a successive revenge of that. Third thing she says is that since 1990s, another new layer has added. That new layer is that in 1998, when India tested its nuclear weapon, it wrote a letter to US explaining that China is the reason why we explored and tried to test our nuclear weapon. अब आप ये देखो, तन्वी मदान says a very interesting thing, sir. तन्वी मदान says even though in 1998 when India did a nuclear weapon test and it wrote a secret letter to US telling US that China is the reason why we did the test, the Americans deliberately leaked the letter. They leaked the letter in 1998, leading to a massive confrontation between India China. और ये हुआ था सर 98 में। हमने एक सीक्रेट लेटर लिखा चाइना अपना अमेरिका को कि ये कहते हुए कि चाइना रिस्पॉन्सिबल है जिसकी वजह से हमने ये टेस्ट किया, क्योंकि चाइना के पास भी बम है तो हमारे पास भी होना चाहिए। और ये इतने नीच है अमेरिकन, देखो इन्होंने लेटर लीक कर दिया, न्यूयॉर्क टाइम में छप गया वो। उसके बाद चाइना ने बवाल क्रिएट कर दिया, उसने कभी मैंने क्या कहा है तुझे, मेरा नाम काइको ले रिया है तू, मैंने तुम्हें कुछ बोला है क्या? तो आप सोचो कि इन्होंने ये हरकत करी। उसके बाद फिर वी ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन टू यूएस कि भाई दिस इज नॉट हाउ डिप्लोमेसी इज कंडक्टेड। So one thing what Tanvi Madan is trying to build as a point in her book is that see China is not something that is a new factor that India and US are collaborating today. China is a irritant factor that has always been there. Now what she says further after the nuclear test is that since Chinese economy started to grow in the decade of 2000s, it is only after the Chinese economy began to grow aggressively that America began to realize कि boss we have to do something about China. And then at that time, America in the 2000 decades came out with what is called as ARI, Asian Rebalancing Initiative. Asian Rebalancing Initiative was created by President Obama. Asian Rebalancing Initiative. That was an attempt to balance China by enhancing capacity of India. And then Tanvi Madan finally says that Asian Rebalancing Initiative eventually matured into what is called as Indo-Pacific and Quad. It has matured into what is called as Indo-Pacific and Quad today. So thereby clearly explaining her thesis that China has been central to what is called as India's relationship with US. Now comes the next question, sir. Using scholarship, examine the Indo-US relation in the context of current standoff with China. What are the options that India today has? Which and what are the limitations to US's response to check China's aggression? नहीं, लीकिंग से कुछ इतना एनिमोसिटी तो हुई नहीं, क्योंकि इवेंचुअली जो हमने बोला भी था वो कोई झूठ तो बोला नहीं था। तो नॉट दैट कि चाइनीज वर नॉट प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर दैट, सो दे वर वेरी मच प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर इट. So leaking was in fact a immature tactic of US because it delayed the improvement of relationship for 2 years. जो चीज 2 साल पहले हो जाती वो 2 साल उसी इशू को सॉल्व करने में लग गई. तो भाई here the scholar again in this question page 144 is Ashley Tellis. So Ashley Tellis here says a very important thing. Ashley Tellis says that see in the context of current Indo-China standoff, which now stands resolved obviously, he says that US basically provided satellite imagery to India on a regular basis. So US played an instrumental role in uprising India about the Chinese movements and their presence at the border which is there. Not only they provided inputs about their presence and movement, but it also provided inputs and satellite imagery about what is called as Chinese settlements on the boundary which are there. Disputed area में जो Chinese settlements बने. अब at that time one thing became very clear कि sir India's options at that time that emerged with this intelligence was to use these inputs to confront China, which India did also. That India used all these intelligence inputs that were coming in to confront China at the dialogue level by telling China, ki, see, your troops, your presence, your settlements at these disputed points cannot be acceptable. Cannot be acceptable. So every time, whenever India-China dialogue happened, India communicated this. But then the problem was कि sir there were also limitations to USA's response to check China, and that biggest limitation is कि sir Americans are not trained today, as Ashley Tillis says, in high altitude war. See, Americans do not have any high altitude activity for which they have trained their armed forces. आपको ये चीज समझ नहीं है सर. Americans are always trained to tackle naval frontiers because they have waters on both the sides, Pacific and Atlantic. So historically, American Navy has always been more powerful. In fact, Ashley Tellis even goes on to say कि leave about the America's war fighting capabilities at high altitude which Indian Army today has because of China. Ashley Tillis goes on to even say that the American army, wherever it has been deployed, be it the plain areas also or desert areas, has never even won a war. भाई अमेरिकन आर्मी ने कौन सी जंग जीती है आज तक? अमेरिकन आर्मी ने कोई जंग तो जीती नहीं. उन्होंने भी बिल्ले वो अपने छाती पे वही लगा रखे हैं जैसे पाकिस्तान आर्मी ने लगा रखे हैं. सारी जंगें हार के भी तुमने बिल्ले लगा रखे हैं. आप अफगानिस्तान में गए पिट के आए, आप इराक में गए आप पिट के आए, आप कुवैत गए आप पिट के आए, आप उससे पहले वियतनाम गए थे, आपकी धुलाई होके आई थी वहां से. उससे पहले आप जापान से भी जब भिड़े थे तो भी उसने आपका पर्ल हावर उठा के पूरा का पूरा फोड़ दिया था. तो साहब फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर इज कि आप कहीं पर भी सक्सेसफुल तो कभी हुए नहीं. तो इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में Ashley Tillis says कि sir the biggest limitation was that the only thing Americans could provide to India in the current Indo-China standoff was satellite imagery and intelligence. The biggest limitation was that if China initiated any form of aggression against India at the boundary, Americans would have been very reluctant to interfere because they do not know how to fight an high altitude war. They don't have the capacity to do the same. They don't have the training today to do the same. So this remained the biggest limitation. And therefore now अगर आप next question देखो तो then things will become more clear that Quad is positioning itself to become the leading security body in Indo-Pacific. Using scholarship examine the relations between India US in the context of Quad and Indo-Pacific. So this scholarship here is of Jyoti Pathania. Jyoti Pathania, Pathania, Pathania. Jyoti Pathania says that what has happened is कि sir Quad today has become one of the lead security groupings that brings India and US at a common platform. But she says that the problem here is that there is a big difference in the way today India looks at Quad, and there is a big difference in the way that the Americans look at Quad. Indians today look at Quad as a capacity building platform. Americans look at Quad as a capacity platform to tackle China. See, this is where the fundamental difference she says lies. She says that today, for India, Quad is a platform where we will sit with America, bargain high technology. And we will use that technology to safeguard Indo-Pacific. नॉट कि भाई हम उसको जो है लेके राजस्थान में बारमेड़ में कोई गांव खोल के वहां पर जो है लड़कों के ऊपर चलाएंगे. भाई वी हैव सेड वी विल यूज दैट टेक्नोलॉजी प्योरली टू सेफगार्ड Indo-Pacific. But America comes with a very different mindset when they sit at the Quad. They say, कि no, boss, see, we are sitting here not with the larger objective of sharing any kind of technology that will help you to safeguard Indo-Pacific. Here we are going to share high technology which is going to tackle China, counter China. Our objective is very clear. We have to spy upon Chinese activities. We have to counter their activities, their presence. So you have to come with this mindset. India says कि no boy, my mindset is that I feel that this is more of a high technology selling platform, high technology trade platform. अमेरिका सेज कि यार ये तुमने अपने मनगढ़ंत तरीके बना रखे हैं. हमने कब बोला था, हमने जब कोड बनाया था कि ये सब होगा? तो इंडिया से नहीं भाई, हमें तो यही लगता है कि यही होगा. तो while there is a security feature where both of them have come together, see, at the end of the day we cannot say that America does not want Indo-Pacific to be the fulcrum of Quad. And we cannot say that India today also does not want Indo-Pacific to be the fulcrum of Quad. Fulcrum means at the center stage of Quad. But the problem is कि America's perception is to use Quad to counter China in Indo-Pacific. Indian perception is to use Quad to enhance capabilities to manage Indo-Pacific. So the word different here is manage versus counter. Because India refrains outrightly from what we say as counter China narrative. We say we want to manage Indo-Pacific, ensure it is free for all. अमेरिका कह रहा वो तो वैसे ही है, इंश्योर क्या करना है इसमें? हमने कहा नहीं ऐसी नहीं है। उसने कहा नहीं है, हमने कहा नहीं है हमें पता है। उसने कहा बता लेकिन, नहीं हमें पता है। तो सर क्वाड जो है एक तरीके से मतलब अब एक मतलब लड़ाई का प्लेटफॉर्म भी बनता जा रहा है दिन पर दिन। आने वाले समय में ये भी होगा, आप देखना कि तार वार मार देंगे एक दूसरे को, कुछ ऐसी हाथ वाथ चमाट वगैरह लगा दिया, कुछ कर दिया, ये भी होगा। अब आप अगला क्वेश्चन देखो सर, रशियाज आइसोलेशन, डिफरिंग अप्रोच टू मल्टीपोलैरिटी, क्लोजर टाइज विद चाइना मेक डीप इंडिया रशिया रिलेशन अनलाइकली एंड विल कंटिन्यू टू जनरेट मोमेंटम इन इंडिया यूएस। एक्सप्लेन। सो हियर द स्कॉलर इज जगन्नाथ पांडा, पैंडा, PANDA। ये अलास्का का नहीं है सर, ये उड़ीसा का है। तो जगन्नाथ पांडा जो है ये कह रहा है कि भाई इंडिया रशिया टाइज आर लाइकली टू बी अफेक्टेड। ये इसने अपने मन की थीसिस बना दी है, ये मेरे को लगता है संबित पात्रा का भाई है कल से। ये कहता है कि भाई रशिया इज डीपनिंग देयर रिलेशनशिप विद चाइना एंड रशिया इज ग्रेजुअली इमर्जिंग एज एन अनरिलायबल फ्रेंड ऑफ इंडिया because Russia cannot strengthen ties with China, which is an enemy of India. And the only way India can manage this rising Russian Chinese proximity is by developing deeper Indo US proximity. देखो आपको ना ये जगन्नाथ पांडा की अगर कभी राइटिंग आप पढ़ोगे भी तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि ये हर्षपंत की तरह एक दलाल आदमी है। क्योंकि जैसे हर्षपंत दलाली करता है ना कि भाई अमेरिकन एजेंडा की दलाली करनी है, जैसे S. जयशंकर का बेटा जो है ध्रुव जयशंकर, जब वो भी कभी लिखता है आपने देखा होगा, वो भी हमेशा अमेरिका की दलाली करता है। अमेरिका में जो रहेगा वो दलाली अमेरिका की करेगा सर। तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना कि सर ये एक दलालियों वाला नरेटिव है कि भाई रशिया हैज बिकम अनरिलायबल फ्रेंड ऑफ इंडिया। सर टेल मी वन थिंग, इफ रशिया वाज एन अनरिलायबल फ्रेंड ऑफ इंडिया वुड रशिया एवर गिव ऑयल सप्लाईज टू इंडिया एट अ चीपर प्राइस? दे वुड नेवर, राइट? So these are all narratives just to justify number one that we need to become servants of America. So Jagannath Panda is contributing in that. Number one. Number two, he says that see today what has happened is कि Russia has violated territorial integrity of Ukraine. And because Russia has attacked Ukraine, violated the territorial integrity of Ukraine, it is a clear-cut fact that Russia aligns with China in violation of integrity. Because China has also violated the Indian territorial integrity by occupying territory in Ladakh. ये ऐसा कहने की कोशिश कर रहा है कि जैसे अमेरिकन ने तो जीवन में कभी टेरिटोरियल इंटीग्रिटी किसी की वायलेट की ही नहीं। वो तो ऐसे हैं कि भाई वहां पर उनके यहाँ कोई खड़ा हो जाए और अमेरिका वाला आदमी आ जाए सामने और अमेरिका के आदमी की कोई निक्कर भी नीचे खींच दे तो वो तो मतलब बाकी कपड़े भी उतार देगा। अमेरिकन तो इतने मतलब भोले हैं। मतलब कैसी यार बातें करते हो? मतलब आपको दलाली भी करनी है यार, एक डिसेंट तरीका भी दलाली करने का होता है। ये थोड़ी मतलब होता है कि अगले ने थूक फेंकी वो भी चाटने लग जाओ। मतलब इतना भी हर्षमंद नहीं बनना चाहिए आपको लाइफ में। तो कल को किसी को ऐसे चाटू करता वाली गाली देनी हो ना तो एक डिसेंट तरीके से बोल दो यार, इतना भी हर्षपंत या जगन्नाथ पंडा मत बन। मीनिंग वही है, बंदा स्कॉलर रिवाइज भी कर लेगा उसी बहाने। तो आप इस चीज को याद करो। अच्छा तीसरी चीज ये क्या कहता है? तीसरी चीज ये कहता है कि सर देर आर नो कॉमन वैल्यूज बिटवीन इंडिया एंड रशिया। ऑल कॉमन वैल्यूज एग्जिस्ट ओनली बिटवीन इंडिया यूएस। So as a result of which one thing is very clear that India-Russia relation will not generate any momentum, and India at any cost must engage with US and deepen ties with US। समझ आई जी? तो ये टाइप के नरेटिव मिलेंगे सर आपको, और मैं आपको पहले ही वार्न कर रहा हूँ कि डोंट बी सरप्राइज अगर एग्जाम में भी कोई क्वेश्चन ऐसा आ जाए, क्योंकि बीजेपी का आउटलुक भी वैसा ही है सर, वो अमेरिका के जूते चाटने वाले लोग हैं। तो डोंट बी सरप्राइज कि अगर उस प्रकार के लोग मतलब इस प्रकार की चीज़ें बोलें। मतलब मैं तो ये आपको अपने एक्सपीरियंस से भी बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि जब मैं यूट्यूब पे अपने वो दूसरे चैनल पे कभी कोई वीडियो बनाता हूँ जिसमें यूएस को गलियाता हूँ, क्योंकि दिल से गलियाता हूँ, आपको पता है। मतलब एक चीज़ जो आदमी दिल से करता है, आपको पता है, वो मतलब नेचुरल आती है। तो वहां पर भी मैंने देखा है कि रिटायर्ड कोई सेक्रेटरी वेक्रेटरी होता है ना गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का, वो कई बार मेरे चैनल पे आके कमेंट कर देता है, नहीं आपको नॉलेज नहीं है। अबे तेरे को नॉलेज है, तू पहले तो एक मोदी का नौकर बन के बैठा हुआ था, ठीक है, एक सेक्रेटरी भी नहीं था, उसका चपड़ासी था। तो दूसरी सबसे बड़ी बात है यार, तुम जस्टिफाई कर रहे हो कि हमें अमेरिका जैसे देश के साथ जो है एंगेज करना चाहिए। भाई हमारे पास अपना टैलेंट है, हमारे पास अपनी स्किल है, अपने लोग हैं, तो आपको नहीं लगता कि ये चीज़ से हम अपने टैलेंट को खुद यूज कर पाए? मैंने आपको कई बार पहले भी ये बात बताई ना सर, आप खुद सोच के देखो कि हमें खुशी ये बात को देख के मिलती है कि एक इंडियन आदमी एक अमेरिकन कंपनी का सीईओ बन रहा है। सर आपको अपने मुंह पे चांटे मारने चाहिए, शर्म आनी चाहिए आपको ये बात सोच के कि एक इंडिया से उठ के आदमी इंडिया को छोड़ के इंडिया के आईआईटी से पढ़ के अमेरिका की कंपनी में जाकर वहां 25-30 साल रह के उधर का सीईओ बन रहा है। इससे ज्यादा शर्मनाक देश के लिए कुछ नहीं हो सकता। रादर देन कि भाई वो बंदा यहाँ पर आके वो अपॉर्चुनिटी क्यों नहीं कर पाया, उसको इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करने के बजाय हम जो है ट्विटर पे खड़े होकर उन लोगों को प्रेज करते हैं। भाई उन लोगों का तो बहिष्कार करना चाहिए, आपको बॉयकॉट करना चाहिए उस प्रकार के आदमी का कि भाई ये देश छोड़ के गया है, ये तो भगोड़ा है। लेकिन आप सोच देखो ना हमारी कैसी है, मतलब हमारी सोच ही वो चाटुकर्ताओं वाली है। तो डोंट बी सरप्राइज अगर यूपीएससी में भी ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ जाए, बिकॉज अभी अगले 4 साल तो कम से कम वो जनसंघी बैठे हैं यूपीएससी में, आपको पता ही है सर। एंड ये सारे के सारे जितने हैं, इन सारों के बच्चे भी अमेरिका में ही पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है ना। देखो सब्सिडाइज्ड एजुकेशन तो छोड़ दो सर, मैं तो सिंपल सी ये बात कहता हूँ कि कोई भी आदमी अगर आईआईटी में पढ़ भी रहा है, पहली बात तो सर उससे आपको 2 करोड़ रुपए फीस लेनी चाहिए। तेरे पास 2 करोड़ पे करने की हैसियत नहीं है तो मत आईआईटी जाके झक मार, पढ़ जाके चौधरी चरण सिंह यूनिवर्सिटी में, फिर क्यों आ रहा है आईआईटी में? तू हमारे टैक्स पेयर के पैसे से पहले एजुकेशन प्राप्त करेगा, हम तेरी एजुकेशन को स्पॉन्सर करें, फिर तू अमेरिका की कंपनी में जाके नौकर बन जाएगा, और फिर हम यहाँ बैठ के मतलब तेरे को बस टैक्स ही देते हैं। सर ये तो जब तक इंडिया के अंदर रेवोल्यूशन नहीं आएगा ना, जब तक इनको लोगों को हम आग लगा के चलाएंगे नहीं अनफॉर्चुनेटली, तब तक हमारे देश का कुछ भविष्य इंप्रूव नहीं होने वाला। आप हाथ पे हाथ रख के टैक्स देते जाना। अब आप मुझसे पढ़ रहे हो, आपने ये वाला कोर्स हमसे खरीदा, 8,000 रुपये आपने पॉल साइंस के कोर्स में जीएसटी पे किया सर। ये जीएसटी का एक पोर्शन पैसे का आज की डेट में किसी आईआईटी के बच्चे की एजुकेशन को इस समय स्पॉन्सर कर रहा होगा, और वो बच्चा अगले 1 साल में आईआईटी से पास आउट करके अमेरिका में जाकर नौकर बन जाएगा। आप अपने माँ बाप से पूछना 8,000 रुपये कितने मुश्किल होते हैं कमाने, वो बताएंगे आपको सर। तो ये हमारे कंट्री का कल्चर कभी सुधरने नहीं वाला सर, अनलेस वी फोर्सिबली इंट्रोड्यूस कि आपको 5 साल सर्विस इंडिया में करनी है, तब तक ये चीजें नहीं बदलेंगी। पर प्रॉब्लम ये है ना कि कौन से नेता बदलेंगे, जब नेता खुद सबसे पहले अपने बच्चों को बाहर भेजते हैं 12वीं के बाद, फिर सारे ब्यूरोक्रेट्स अपने बच्चों को बाहर भेजते हैं। इनके तो बच्चे कभी केवी में नहीं पढ़ते, इनके बच्चे कभी सरकारी स्कूलों में नहीं पढ़ते, वो तो डीपीएस में पढ़ते हैं जी। ऐसा क्यों है जी? संस्कृति में पढ़ते हैं, ठगी मचा रखी है दिल्ली में, संस्कृति करके एक स्कूल है सर, कभी पढ़ना उसके बारे में। हमारे वाजीराम में एक टीचर थे, जब मैं वाजीराम में पढ़ाता था ना, एक टीचर थे मेरे वहां पर, फ्रेंड थे बहुत अच्छे वो। उन्होंने अपने बेटे की एडमिशन करानी थी दिल्ली में चाणक्यपुरी में संस्कृति स्कूल में। वो पेरेंट्स का भी इंटरव्यू करते हैं बच्चे के साथ साथ, तो पेरेंट का जब उनका खुद का टीचर का इंटरव्यू हुआ तो उनको कहते हैं अच्छा आप तो सिविल सर्विस के टीचर हैं, तो आप तो अच्छा कमा लेते होंगे, तो आप जो है हम बच्चे को एडमिशन दे देते हैं, 2 बसें डोनेशन में दे दो। 2 बसें सर, 13-13 लाख रुपए की बस आती है, 26 लाख रुपए मुंह पे बोल रहे हैं दे दो। जैसे स्टेट पीसीएस के इंटरव्यू में नहीं होता कि मुंह पे बोल देते हैं एसडीएम 1.5 करोड़, डीएसपी 1 करोड़। ये आप सोचो कि मतलब मैं तो उन टीचर का, और वो बिहार के टीचर हैं हमारे, मतलब वो बिहार के हैं, तो मतलब मैं उनको इतना वैल्यू भी करता हूँ कि उस बंदे में इतनी ऑडेसिटी थी कि उसने कहा मेरा बच्चा स्कूल में नहीं पढ़ेगा। नॉट दैट कि उसके लिए कोई 26 लाख रुपए देना कोई इशू था सर, वो इतना कमाता था कि 26 लाख 1 मिनट में दे देता। बट ही सेड कि यार ये क्या वैल्यू सिखाएंगे मेरे बच्चे को, जो 26 लाख रुपए रिश्वत मांग रहे हैं एडमिशन के टाइम पे, आप सोचो। सर ये तो हालात है इन लोगों के। एंड बाय द वे संस्कृति इज रन बाय वाइव्स ऑफ आईएएस ऑफिसर्स एसोसिएशन। तो अब आप सोच लो कि वो कैसे मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का नेक्सस बनाया हुआ संस्कृति स्कूल इन्होंने पूरा का पूरा करप्ट स्कूल एक नंबर का। एक से एक है सर। इंडिया में तो आपको एक से एक मिलेगा बेटा। मॉडर्न बारह खंबा तो चलो छोड़ दो, वो तो एक लेवल ऊपर है उससे। तो ये डीपीएस, संस्कृति, मॉडर्न, इनके बारे में चर्चाएं हुई तो पता नहीं कितने लोगों के मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग नेक्ससेस खुल जाएंगे यहाँ पे। बट ये अनफॉर्चुनेट है सर। इसीलिए फिर ये इन जैसे पढ़े लिखे, फिर ये जब ये जगन्नाथ पांडा और हर्ष पंत बनते हैं तो ये दलाली ऐसे फिर नरेटिव बना बना के जो है सोसाइटी में फैलाते हैं। चलो अनफॉर्चुनेट है सर, क्या करें। अगला क्वेश्चन है जी, लिख लो इसमें दो लाइन है सर। डायस्पोरा वाला जो क्वेश्चन है, अकॉर्डिंग टू सुचिता पांडे, सुचिता पांडे, इंडियन डायस्पोरा in US is a highly skill based diaspora, highly skill based diaspora, which is outcome driven, thereby contributing to economic growth of US. In this context, it has emerged powerful that it cannot be neglected by Democrats or Republicans. And today contribute to influencing the policy with respect to India. By ensuring that the interest of the Republicans or Democrats and their foreign policy. In recent times, the Republicans have adopted a trade centric agenda, whereas the Democrats remain stuck in exploiting fault lines. The recent 2024 US elections has seen a drastic shift of the Indian diaspora towards Republicans. which is likely to alter the future relationship. ठीक है जी। तो कल नहीं है बेटा PSIR की क्लास, अब परसों मिलेंगे 6 बजे, और लंबी क्लास लेंगे, ठीक है। और इसके बाद फिर मंडे ऑनवर्ड्स जो है, वील कंटिन्यू विद पॉल साइंस क्लासेस एट 6 PM ओनली। एंड अभी मिलते हैं, 9 बजे मिलते हैं फॉर द मिडीवल इंडिया क्लास, सो वील स्टार्ट इट एट 9 o'clock।